And it's time for Lefties Losing It, and we've got some gems for you tonight. Let's start with the Democrats finally realising they have a problem with young men. Yes, young men have abandoned the party in droves, and the Dems think they have just the woman to lure them back.
As the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Yes, that's Democrat operative influencer Olivia Giuliana, and she loves young men. She loves the frat boys, and she thinks she understands them and how to bring them back to the Democrats.
I spent a lot of time on college campuses, and I spent a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys. And in that, I realized, like, even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter.
Yes, I'm sure conservative young men are huge backers of the neo-Marxist, anti-American, anti-police movement known as BLM. And I'm sure this will see them return to the Democrats in huge numbers.
I'm angry that the ocean is on fire in 3 different places, and we have billionaires who are racing to see who can get to space faster. The same billionaires who don't pay their workers fairly, the same billionaires who don't pay their fair share in taxes.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Now here is a law professor and wife of MSNBC host Chris Hayes, Kate Shaw, who decided to lie or at least mislead Senator John Kennedy from the great state of Louisiana, and that was a mistake. Big mistake. Huge.
You said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take it your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word, but...
All right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
Sir, I'm very skeptical. If there's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said...
No, you said it. Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical of some members of the Supreme Court.
You made that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an officer
Senator, it doesn't sound like something that I would say.
You know what I'm embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil in the classroom,
on
sir.
Your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful of federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon.
Gag me with a spoon, indeed. How many times did she lie or mislead there, claiming she never said it? It was a transcription error. It's not language she'd use. Well, Professor Shaw, as the kids say, here is the receipt. And by the way, she said this only last year.
The result, deftly constructed opinion by Justice Kagan. Will she be able to control its potential future distortion by her evil colleagues?
Now, this is how you handle the leftist activist media. You do not allow them to play linguistic games. Don't allow them to obscure the truth by using their preferred terms that are inaccurate and designed to manipulate. Watch Stephen Miller on CNN give a masterclass on how you handle these activists.
An undocumented migrant sent a letter threatening to kill the president, promising to self-deport after the assassination. CNN reporting shows that investigators believe the migrant was set up. It was a victim of a setup. What is the administration going to do now? And this is an undocumented immigrant. I do want to note that. But this was someone who came forward, was a victim of a crime, and now law enforcement believes he was set up. Go ahead.
Well, I want to clarify what you mean, so we're talking about the same thing. Are you saying this immigrant was here illegally?
Yes, but I am, and that's why I said that. I clarified that.
You said undocumented, and I wasn't clear what that means. I'm assuming they have a fake ID. I'm assuming they have a fake social security number.
That's neither here nor there. That's getting away from the question, Stephen. I want this to be, and call me naive, a good faith discussion about what's happening right now.
But when we use language that's designed to obscure the truth, that's not good faith.
An
illegal alien is an illegal alien. They're not an undocumented migrant.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, that is fine. Don't let the left play these word games to deliberately conceal the truth, to manipulate. Remember, he who controls the language controls the masses. Don't be controlled. And the lawfare with the Democrats has never stopped. It didn't ultimately work in stopping President Donald Trump from being re-elected, but now that he is in power, the Democrats are again using and misusing the courts and Democrat-appointed judges to undermine the president's power and to usurp the will of the American people. Here is Democrat Rep. Laura Friedman explaining it all.
Every single week, we have a litigation working group where a large group of us, and I'm talking there's maybe 75 members of the House, sit down every single week with the AGs to talk about legal strategy. This is all going on every single week behind the scenes. It is nonstop talk, nonstop introduction of bills and legislation.
Joining me now is Newsweek's senior editor-at-large and Article 3 Project Senior Counsel Josh Hammer. Josh, you coined the term judicial insurrection, and we see examples of it almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah, the Democrats, Rita, apparently are not content to throw out hundreds and hundreds of years of precedents about not prosecuting your political enemies, at least in these United States. Who knows where they will stop at this point there? But, you know, we frankly have not taken a full societal reckoning here in the United States of exactly what the Democratic Party and what the Democrat lawfare complex, as I've called it, as to what exactly they have put us through for the past few years. Thank goodness, Rita. Thank goodness for so many reasons Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. But among those reasons that we should be grateful that he won is that in the alternative hypothetical universe, if he had lost that election, there is a very, very, very real chance that he would not only not be sitting at the White House right now, he would actually be in jail. That was literally the stakes. I mean, when Americans went to vote there in November, they were actually voting on that. I don't know when Democrats are going to give this up. Sometimes, Rita, I think, what is it actually going to take this party to stop harping about these 80-20 issues on the wrong side there? What percentage of the American people actually support this, as opposed to focusing on, oh, I don't know, economic issues, bread and butter issues, pocketbook issues, immigration, crime, basic lifestyle issues? Democrats, that is the reason that your party's approval ratings and favorability ratings are in the freaking toilet right now. You want to get back in fair position. Stop focusing on this, focusing on what your voters actually care about.
Now, Josh, I played a clip of Stephen Miller earlier in the program, refusing to accept in an interview with CNN the anchor's use of incorrect terms like undocumented migrant as opposed to illegal alien or illegal immigrant. You've had some thoughts on this. I know you wrote about this for Newsweek. Why is it so important that Conservatives push back when the left tries to use their preferred terms?
So I love Stephen Miller. I'm a longtime unabashed Stephen Miller fan. I love the fact that he is wielding so much power in the Donald Trump White House there. But this particular fight, Rita, is deeply important. For literally decades, the left has understood what both George Orwell and Saul Alinsky, the great left-wing Chicago community organizer, they both preached a very similar message, which is that he who controls the language necessarily controls the discourse. You control the discourse, you control people's minds, you control how they deal and how they interpret and process reality there. But the left uses all sorts of ridiculous euphemistic language, so-called gender-affirming care when it comes to physical or chemical castration, undocumented immigrants for illegal aliens there, you know, bodily autonomy when it comes to snuffing out even a third trimester unborn child in the womb. I could go on and on and on. Essentially, no matter what issue you look at there, the left here in America has mastered the art of the euphemistic imperative. And Stephen Miller, I think, is leading this charge to fight back against it. But the onus now is on everyone else to continue this there. You cannot let the left control the terms of our discourse, because when you allow them to do that, they're ultimately going to set themselves up for victory in our great cold roiling civil war in this country.
Absolutely. It is so important. You do not cede linguistic territory to the radical left. And I think Conservatives have been guilty of doing that for a long time. Josh Hammer, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Rita.